guys? Welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy. He is sharing a story about how when he was in college, how he got very close to a girl, became very close friends with her, who definitely had issues, red flags, the whole 9 yards. And you're going to see here the roller coaster of drama she put him through because he was playing the role as the, wait for it, nice guy best friend, that type of thing. And no surprise, eventually started having feelings for her. And how things went completely out of whack then. And ultimately being falsely accused of certain things. And how it came this close, I mean this close to him getting kicked out of his university and jeopardizing his whole future. Fortunately, you're going to see here that at the end, things work out fine for him. But he was darn close. And so I'm going through this, guys, as a very important, as a lesson to demonstrate how it's so important to pay attention to red flags, to not be that white knight guy that's going to save these girls and all that have problems. Getting close to gals like this, thinking that you can change them or make them your girlfriend, and amongst many other important things here. And also how a simple accusation like that to a guy can just, that's it. Because at the end of the day, who are they going to believe? And this is obviously a while ago before how things are nowadays. So very important, guys. Pay attention here. He says, hey SSM, I've been watching you for a few months now and I'm addicted to your channel. I don't watch every day, but I keep up so that every week I've watched at least a new video on both of your channels. I've been RP'd for a while now, and he says still a relationship guy, but don't worry, my girl is RP'd and an avid watcher of your channel too. Well, that's cool. Not a whole lot of women watch me, let alone like me, but the ones that do are obviously cool. I have a story about back before I became enlightened to the ways of women. I wasn't bee-pilled, but I was naive. My mother did bad things to me during my childhood, so I had mommy issues like girls have daddy issues. The slightest female affection was addictive to me. I have it under control now, and I'm thriving, but boy, did it get me into trouble. And you're going to see here, yes, it did get him into trouble. My story begins my freshman year of college. I was at a tech school for a computer science degree, dreaming of entering into the entertainment industry as a professional actor. Long story, but I'm still there as a professional actor. I'm RP'd, spy behind enemy lines. I was part of a student theater in the college and was an active member in it for all 4 years. It was there that I met Elizabeth. She was a good-looking, short, red-headed girl that spent time at the theater. We became fast friends, though nothing happened with her as she had just gotten out of a long-term relationship that broke up because it was a polyamorous and quickly devolved into problems. He says she started dating almost immediately after that relationship fizzled, and I became her de facto shoulder to cry on at a time for about 6 months. Well, that was a complete waste of your time. You're the guy she goes to complain about other guys, to tell all her problems to and cry to and all that. And usually the way this always goes, the guy falls for the girl, and all she sees him as the best friend to cry to and all that. And he gets his heart smashed amongst many other things, as you're going to see here. He says, I know, but it wasn't a friend zone. I was a good Christian boy and really wasn't interested in the college bicycle. I was just trying to be a friend. So you were a good guy, and you're trying to help out, and I get that, but you'll see. I still remember when she cried on my chest after finding out she had herpes. Later it turned out to be a false positive. Or the time she became home crying and shivering in my arms most of the night because her recent partner hit her because he got too carried away during a particularly rough playtime session. I should have distanced myself back then, but hey, if you can't be a bleeding heart in college, when can you? Well, bro, I can tell you with 100% sincerity that I have never been a bleeding heart 1 minute of my entire life. And I probably never will be. The only thing I have a bleeding heart towards, well, let me backtrack here. The only thing I have a bleeding heart towards are animals. I love animals. When I die, I'll probably leave about 95% of all my money towards like animal shelters and things like that. And I also have a bleeding heart at Christmas time. I do donate money and gifts towards organizations for kids at Christmas that are really obviously in bad situations. But that's it. Anything else, I'm not a bleeding heart. He continues, so Elizabeth and I would be thick as thieves for about 6 months before she would go on to marry the dude that hit her. By that point I was a bit disgusted with her behavior and tried to counsel against the marriage. Yeah, I'm sure that went on deaf ears. Her reaction was to ghost me, I don't think with hard feelings, but closer to the sort of, I have a husband and I don't need you anymore sort of thing. She also disappeared from the theater. I wouldn't see her again until my senior year. So you're BFFs for all that time, being her shoulder to cry on about other dudes, and then out of the blue, she marries the guy that she goes crying to you about all the time, who obviously who hit her, and you're chopped liver. Done. That, my friend, is how the girls handle the guys that they use for her to be the friend and cry to and all that, to be their therapist. But this girl has issues, as you guys can clearly see. And, well, this isn't the end of her story. He says, she showed back at my theater my senior year in the middle of a divorce and her life pretty much in shambles. Not that it wasn't even ever two together to begin with. I walked into my theater and was immediately hit by a redheaded missile, and she wrapped herself around me. She was literally suspended in the air, wrapped around me. She kept telling me how much she missed me and how hard it's been without my advice and blah, blah, blah. So now that she's divorced, she got married, when she was 19 or 20, and now 2 years later she's divorced, and now she's back to have you be her BFF and fix all her problems. See where this nice guy crap gets you? He says, remember what I said about female affection. To my shame, I brought her nonsense hook, line, and sinker. We became thick as thieves again, like nothing happened, and I was her confidant all over again. This time, however, things were different. Well, how different? Were you any different? I mean, looking back, boom, you took her back like that. And you said you loved the female attention, but you weren't getting it the way that you thought you wanted. The way, in terms of affection, you were just getting it for someone needing you and hugging you and being there. I had loosened up since I met Elizabeth and was more open to her lifestyle at this point. Not polyamory, but more aggressive S-word nature. I had been with a woman for about 3 years at this point after a bad breakup that I can tell you about another time. So I blamed the hormones and that sort of weird need to get laid we guys get when we date Pamela Anderson for too long for what happened next. Yeah, I know you're closer to my age when you mention Pamela Anderson in this type of way. She was a big deal in the 90s, Baywatch and all that. I remember. I developed a crush on Elizabeth and started trying to maneuver myself out of the friend zone that I was in. Oh, she's the worst person you want to have a crush on. Oh my God. The heart wants what the heart wants, but come on here, dude. This is a disaster. But you were younger, and I know you know now, but back then. But I can't say I didn't make a bunch of boneheaded mistakes and having a crush on girls that I certainly should have when I was younger too, so I get it. I started getting more aggressive with my flirting with her, matching her innuendos with joking offers to have relations with her and various other things to soften her up to the idea of my interest in her. So instead of just outright asking her out, which you shouldn't have, but instead of just doing that, you just try to slowly work your way out of the friend zone. Once you're in the friend zone, you're in the friend zone, okay? She sees you as the psychologist, the BFF, that is it, and you're going to see here. I thought it was working before she started flirting hard back. She told me she loved me multiple times and didn't know how she'd make it without me. All the time she showered me with compliments telling me I was a rock that she was clinging to in really unstable time. It was then we had a conversation that she told me what she really thought about me. Aha, now we're getting somewhere. We were one of the theater hangout spaces when while she moaned about her divorce, telling me about how she hadn't had relations in a year and how she was ready to pop. I joked back that it had been multiple years for me, and she slams her hands on the table and tells me to stop trying to compare your situation to mine. Translation, you're here to listen to my problems. I don't want to hear about you. She says, it's not the same, all right? I'm supposed to be having you-know-what whenever I want. You're not. To my great shame, I didn't respond by flipping the table and telling her to F off. I was pretty hefty at the time, and let's just say I wasn't pulling in the ladies, so my self-confidence was a bit in the toilet. Instead, I threw a Hail Mary and told her about the crush that I had on her and would like to help solve her affection and relationship problem. Yeah, how'd that work out? I honestly groaned just typing that. She told me she wasn't interested in me, and I ended the conversation soon after and resolved to distance myself from her and thereafter, her words still stinging. I thought my time with her was over. Oh, how wrong I was. The fun had just begun. And when I say fun, I don't mean rolling in the hay fun. I mean accusations fun. See? Once you go into that friend zone, once you become their therapist and the person that solves all their problems, that's it. Maybe in a moment of weakness, they may flip over for a moment, but then realize, wait a second, you're like my brother. You're my shrink. A week later, I see Elizabeth at a freshman event for the theater. It was a show we put on, just a little variety hour to entice new freshmen to join. She walks into me, hugs me, and tells me she loves me and that she missed me this week and hopes we can still be best friends. Oh, great. I told her I never really saw us as the best friends, but I didn't see why things had to change. I said, you didn't want me, so I'm a big boy, and moved on. And things were okay for maybe an hour and a half, though I had stopped flirting with her. Near the end of the evening, she got silent, cold and distant on me. Seeing this, I decided to give her some space and thought, okay, I guess we aren't friends really anymore either. By that point, I was done with her and perfectly fine with that. The trouble really started the next day at the second day of the freshman event. We had about an hour of socializing with freshmen in the theater before the show started. During this time, 2 campus police officers come to the theater and they told me they needed to speak with me about charges of stalking and harassment loudly in front of the entire theater. So much for his good friend that he was there for and let her tell all his problems and on and on. Just like that, she turns on him and here come the campus police to drag his ass away. White knight, nice guy. Don't make this mistake, guys. Guys and gals cannot be friends. Don't waste your time. I know I did a video about that 2 weeks ago and I got some heat about that. I stand by my position. He says, they even tried to do a pseudo perp walk to try and humiliate me while I left them. When I got outside, they told me Elizabeth had filed official complaints of stalking and harassment with my school and accused me of threatening to self-terminate if she didn't sleep with her, if she didn't sleep with me. It took every ounce of control I had not to hit the roof, but I kept it together when talking to the officers. I told them I had no idea what they were talking about. I never threatened anything of the sort, and if Elizabeth didn't want to be my friend, she should try saying she wants me to leave her alone because she had told me literally the day before she needed me in her life. See? Mental. Cuckoo. Would have been a good idea to pay attention to those red flags back then, huh? The cops responded that Elizabeth still thinks of me as a friend, and I laughed, cutting the officer off, saying, my friends don't lie about me to the cops. The cop let me go, telling me the dean of students would be contacting me soon about how the school was going to handle it and let me go back to the theater. I promptly went in to hide in one of the back rooms and process everything. A few friends offered support, but not many. I had become isolated in the theater literally in 40 seconds. All the time, the artistic director I had never got along with kept coming by smirking at me. That night, I'd get harassed with wellness checks by campus police while I was in the theater. Police loudly telling everyone they came to make sure I wouldn't off myself. God, talk about humiliating. I mean, it wasn't bad enough that you were dragged out of there, but now everybody's thinking that you're going to off yourself because of some BS story she made up. No good deed goes unpunished. To that night alone and 3 more over the weekend at my apartment so my neighbors could look at me funny too. That Monday I was informed that I'd go before the assistant dean of students and get a chance to respond to the accusations against me, and then they decide what to do. I go before this assistant and I'm infuriated Elizabeth has told a pack of lies about me. All of a sudden, I was responsible for a tree branch tapping her apartment window. She accused me of texts that didn't happen, that I demanded sex in these texts, and that I was pushy and hostile, and threatened offing myself or arson if I didn't get my way. Holy crap. Bro, I'm sorry it happened to you, but holy crap, talk about psycho. Learn from this, gentlemen. Learn from this the next time you want to be that white knight to that gal. Or frankly, a white knight to anybody. That's nuts. It says here, I was incensed, but I kept my cool outwardly, refuted everything she said. The assistant dean of students, she said she would talk to Elizabeth about my refuting it and give me a week to gather evidence. I went to my cell phone company and got them to send the assistant dean a complete transcript of my text to Elizabeth from an official account proving Elizabeth lied about what I texted her. I sent multiple character witnesses who had seen us together and spent time with us. I even provided rock-solid alibis for specific instances Elizabeth claimed I was following her. During all this, the artistic director of my theater used this against me to get me banned from the theater. God, this is just one thing after another. I later find out that she had encouraged to do this in an effort to get me out of both of their lies. None in the theater really resisted. A lesson is in how two-faced entertainment people can be, let me tell you. Yeah, I can definitely believe that when it comes to the entertainment industry and in Hollywood. It's no surprise there. All the drama always going on with Hollywood actors and actresses and all that stuff. No thanks. I know you say you're a professional actor. I don't know how you deal with it. He continues, so the fateful day would come when I would receive my final judgment from the assistant dean. I go and sit down and we go over the case. I prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Elizabeth is lying about me. I refuted every specific claim with evidence, and some general accusations with evidence. I naively believed justice could be served for men accused. Oh, how I was wrong. What the assistant dean would say next would be my R-pill moment. The assistant dean looks up at me and says, I'll admit I don't have any evidence that you did anything, but a cute little girl like that wouldn't make an accusation against someone like you. She gestured broadly at my body, unless there was something there, so I'm finding you guilty and suspending you pending expulsion. Oh my God. So no evidence, none whatsoever, but because this cute little girl said what she said, he is automatically guilty because he's a dude. And there you go. No good deed goes unpunished. All this white knight stuff, look what he gets for it. And not paying attention to the red flags. Gentlemen, this is why I do these stories. That is such a shame. But the story isn't over yet. He says, I couldn't believe it. I sat for a moment stunned before I realized I needed to leave before I started yelling at her. It wouldn't do me any good, but I had an ace in the hole that she had just delivered to me. He says, you see, my dad didn't raise no fool. I live in a single-party consent state and had my phone recording our meetings. The next day I walked in with a lawyer who was a family friend. And I demanded to see the dean of students and play the recording for him, threatening to sue the school for discrimination. Aha! The dean tries to act tough, but eventually relents and offers me to drop the punishment to academic probation, which wouldn't go on my record. For the rest of my time there, he says I graduate in 3 months, and a 3,000-word paper on how I could handle myself differently. What a load of shit. He shouldn't have to do any of this stuff. But I was tempted to fight, but still my attorney basically pulled me aside and told me he'd help me, but the school would drag me through the mud, and it was iffy if I saw a dime from them, let alone getting my diploma. Like I said, I wanted to be an actor and knew fighting this would end any chance of that, and to be honest, I was just tired. So I agreed, served my sentence, and got the hell out of there and never looked back. Well, that sucks that happened, but at the very least, thank God you recorded that, got your family friend who was a lawyer to come with you. That's awesome. And you got the whole thing dropped, but obviously you had academic probation and whatever, but it wasn't on your record. But, oh my God, you didn't do anything. Expressed your interest to her, and boom, psycho. Now up to present times, he says, I'm 34 now, a professional actor with a career that I love and on the up and up. I have a girlfriend that I love and loves me back. And as I said, loves your channel and frankly goes a little harder than I do with the R-pill. And is actually an agent in the industry. Things are going great, but I'll never forget those days. Since then, I treat women like plutonium. Extremely powerful boons in your life, but must be treated with utmost caution or else there are a few more painful ways to die. Yes, amongst many other things, and I hope you learned the lesson about not being buddies and BFFs. In my opinion, unless you're hooking up with them, no point spending time with them. I have no problem with acquaintances and gals, friends of friends and stuff like that. But in terms of actually like BFFs and going to hang out and do stuff, no. Been there, done that. I've never had anything like this happen to me, thank the Lord. However, I've been the one who've been tried to be the BFF and listen to all her problems, and it got me nowhere. And I've also had crushes on crazy girls, and that got me nowhere. Unbelievable. He says, P.S. I know I probably don't have to ask, but I appreciate keeping my email just private, as I can get blackballed in the entertainment industry for writing this, but the story I'd be honored to have you share. I hope this story helps some other poor guy take that extra step of precaution to save himself. Have a great day. Keep doing God's work. Well, no problem, bro. Your secret is safe with me. But I'm so happy that you got out of there, and it could have been far worse, thank God. But right there, that shows you guys. Be extremely careful. Pay attention to the red flags. Don't become the girl's therapist and BFF. And how a crazy gal can turn on you like that. I mean, that girl has serious issues, And you know what? Karma's a bitch, because I guarantee you, some way, somehow, that will come back on her later in life. She probably just has a life full of turmoil, and I guarantee it's going to come into her life over and over again. But I'm glad you're doing well. I think that's really cool. You're a professional actor. Now I'm curious who you really are. Of course, I wouldn't share it. And I also think it's very cool that your girlfriend likes my channel. So that's awesome, because believe me, most women think I'm the devil. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, like I said before, if you got a great story about your past that you'd like to share, something you overcame and gotten through, and you think would help the community, by all means, email it to me. Make sure you write it out well, good details. I don't care if it's long. If it's a really good story, fine, no problem. We all enjoy them. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.